Hi and welcome to my very first diabetes blog. My name's Mark. I've been type 1 for 24 years. I was diagnosed when I was 7. And the reason I want to start this blog is basically because I just don't talk about my diabetes enough, I don't think. I don't really know that many people with diabetes in general. I started talking to more people online, on Twitter, Reddit, Facebook and stuff like that, and getting advice there. But I don't actually talk a lot about it. So I wanted to start expressing myself a bit more and talking about the things I'm going through, and also to give people advice and make more people, particularly younger people, talk about the diabetes and discuss how it can be improved and managing blood sugar levels and insulin and stuff like that. So basically what I'm going to do is talk about the stuff that I'm going through, the stuff that I've gone through, advice on carbohydrate counting, insulin, reviewing sort of things that I'm using, such as so I've been prescribed the OMNIPOD this week through the NHS. So my first few videos are going to be about how I'm getting on with the OMNIPOD. I've also got the Freestyle Libre, which is absolutely incredible. So I'll be going through some sort of tips and tricks with that and advice and reviewing it a little bit. But essentially, I just want to sort of put things out there on this channel, and hopefully people can watch it and get some advice, learn a thing or two. You know, you might be newly diagnosed and you want to hear from somebody who's been diabetic for many years. But also just for me to offload a little bit and express myself in terms of problems that I'm having and how I got through them and stuff like that. Because when I was first diagnosed, I was 7, as I said, and there wasn't really anything like this out there. There was books and stuff, but you read a book when you're 7. And I just I used to pretend that I didn't have it really, not to myself. I'm always sort of under quite good control. Got better and better as I got older, but I've never really sort of just ignored the fact that I've got it. Gone off and eaten a load of Haribo and drank Lucozade and stuff. I didn't really do that. I've had periods where I've been slightly under poor control when I was slightly younger. But I used to pretend to people that, not pretend, but I didn't tell anyone about it, and I just hide it, and I want to just act like a normal person. And I think just because you're constantly talking about a medical condition that you've got, or you're telling people about it, and it doesn't make a difference. You're still a normal person, and you should tell people about it, and that encourages more people to think about it and educate people about it as well. So that's one of the things that I wanted to do. So what I'll be doing is uploading sort of weekly videos on sort of things I've done, things I'm doing, and things I'm trying as well. And I think obviously as I get more and more videos up, I'd like people to comment on as well and ask questions, and I could perhaps do videos that people want to see, things like that. So I started out on, when I was diagnosed at the age of 7, on mixed insulin, Mixitard it was called. I don't know if anyone remembers that, if anyone's diabetic and remembers the Mixitard pens. They were kind of like fast acting and long acting in the same pen. Terrible, absolutely terrible. I was on them for, I think it must have been about 17 years. And you try your very best to sort of get under good control with them, but with them being mixed, you take one in the morning, one in the evening. It was just impossible. And that was probably one of the reasons why my HbA1c result was always quite high during my teenage years and maybe up to my early 20s as well. About 8 years ago, maybe a bit more, I went on to multiple daily injections. So that was Lantus and Humalog, and kind of it was a massive improvement straight away because I could split my long-acting insulin and my short-acting insulin. I don't actually think anyone's on Mixitard or mixed insulin anymore, but this is just giving a basic sort of introduction to what I've gone through in the past sort of 24 years. So the multiple daily injections did help quite drastically. I was able to adjust my long-acting or basal dose and count my carbs for the short-acting dose, which is something I never really did because I didn't know about it. So as the years gone by since I went on to the multiple daily injections, obviously problems developed there as well. The basal dose in particular, I was always having problems with that. If I took too much, I'd be hypo all day. If I reduced it to counteract the hypos, I'd be high all day, and things like that, and it was just a nightmare. So I eventually went on to got on to my doctor and said, look, I need to try out an insulin pump because I've done some research, and apparently they're really sort of intelligent these days, and you can you can really fine tune them. And that's when I was told about the OMNIPOD being available on NHS, which is just this year, just midsummer I think it was. I received an appointment to attend a clinic to go into the OMNIPOD. Now this was just 2 days ago. It was Wednesday. It's now Friday, and you can actually just see the pod there itself. So that's basically, that's your pancreas. That's on your arm there, or you put it on your belly, whatever you want really. And this is your brain. Now I'm not my goal here isn't to talk about how to use the OMNIPOD. I might do a couple of instructional videos if I feel it's necessary, but sort of really want to talk about my experience with it rather than how to use it, if you like. So essentially, if you've not heard of an insulin pump or an OMNIPOD before, basically it's a wireless controller. So you stick your pod on, sticks a little cannula inside your arm, pain-free, completely pain-free. I couldn't believe it when we were in the hospital. We went to the training session. There was a rep there. She was really, really good, very informative. Showed us how to use every single thing on this device, the PDM, Personal Diabetes Manager, and we had to stick it on, and then you press yes or OK on your PDM, and it then fires in a needle. And I thought, this is surely going to be painful. If they're firing a needle in with a cannula, it's got to be painful. There wasn't a single bit of pain. I was actually quite surprised at how little pain I felt when it first went in. I'm not saying it'll never hurt. I might put it into a muscle once and I'll get some pain, but actually there was just nothing. I could barely feel a thing. So that was the first experience I had of putting the pod on, and that was great, and it's actually staying on quite well. When I first heard about the OMNIPOD, I did go online and I ordered a sample one of these. You can basically it's the pod without the needle in it, and you just stick it on and sample it and wear it around, and it fell off after a few hours. So I was really worried that this one might come off, but actually it's solid, and it's pulling away at that now. It's going nowhere, that, and I've had no issues with it yet. In terms of my blood sugars, so obviously I'm on day 3. I went on to it Wednesday morning, and it's now Friday dinner time. It's going to take some getting used to. I think it's one of them things. It's like I'm starting a whole new insulin therapy basically. So it's going to take a lot of trial and error. First day, I was put onto a 25% reduced sort of basal program. So that was sort of, rather than taking 28 units, which I was doing with the pen, I was put down to a much lesser amount. I can't fully remember. It was something like 16 units or something like that. But I found myself on the first day going quite hypo quite often. I think actually I can probably show you sort of what that looks like on the Freestyle Libre. So that was the 25th. So you can see, as you can see, it just kept going low and low and low and low, and then I had loads of spikes because I had hypos, and it just wouldn't stop. So I went on to the PDM and I just lowered the dose in half. The long-acting dose that you set in the PDM, I just halved it, and that seemed to help stop them hypos. I didn't have any more hypos. That night I was up every hour just checking, because I was quite conscious about them hypos and worrying that I'd go into a hypo overnight. And so I got up every hour, slept on the couch so I didn't keep the kids or my partner awake, and I just sort of checked every sort of hour, and it was fine. It's sort of this was day 2, so you can see I went hypo during the night, and then I reduced the basal dose again, and it made me go high for that second day, which was yesterday. So it's taken quite a lot of effort to sort of get it right, and it's going to take me quite a few weeks. So this is today's graph using the Libre device, and you can see that I've had a bad hypo overnight. Well, not a bad hypo, but I went hypo overnight. Shot up again. I lowered me basal dose again overnight because I thought I don't want another hypo. And I had a very steady sort of morning, and then it just shot up there because I had I think I had a hypo, and now that's coming down again now. So it's paired up with the Libre. It's absolutely fantastic. Being able to manipulate how much basal insulin I can use. So when you take a 24-hour basal dose with an insulin pen, it's kind of that's it. You put it in and that's it. You can't change it once it's in, and that was always a nightmare for me, because I'd have hypos overnight and I'd need less basal insulin overnight, and I'd have high blood sugars later on in the day, so I'll probably need more. So my base rate changed over the 24-hour period, and with this so far I've not really done a lot of experiment with it yet but I can change how much I'm getting at different parts of the day, and that to me is invaluable. And I've already sort of avoided a couple of hypos because I've noticed on my Libra that the blood sugar's going down, and I've just sort of reduced my basal rate, and it's stopped me going hypo, and it's things like that that really do help you get under good control. So as I said, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So far I've got no issues with it whatsoever. There's no negatives yet. I think after I've done it for a few weeks and maybe a couple of months, I'll be under perfect control. I really do think that. But obviously I'll keep updating through videos and sort of just letting you know how I'm getting on. So yeah, so this was the OMNIPOD, just my basic introduction. My next video, which is probably going to be next week, I'm going to look at you know, what I've been doing with it over the week, you know, what settings I've been applying, how I've been adjusting it, and then just continuing with the review. So yeah, if you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up and follow me please, and if you want to comment and introduce yourself, I'll reply to you as well. I'd like to try and create a bit of a type 1 diabetic community on YouTube if I can, and type 2 as well, actually, any type of diabetes, because we all need that support. So yeah, say hi, comment, like my video as well, and share it if you can. Thank you.